Tonight, details of a terrifying incident for students and staff on a school camp on the Eyre Peninsula. And two mining companies team up in order to explore iron ore in remote South Australia.
This is Southern Cross News with Fraser Goldsworthy.
Good evening. A school camp near Tumby Bay turned to terror this week when a student allegedly threatened school staff and classmates with a knife. It's since been revealed a young boy has been arrested and charged over the incident. Casey Trelaw has the details.
Southern Cross News has learned of the horrifying event that unfolded on Tuesday at Tharuna, just 40 kilometres north of Port Lincoln. It's understood a fight broke out between two students when it's alleged one of them pulled out a knife from the camp kitchen.
Police were called in relation to a disturbance. As I understand it, one of the children was tripped over during some sort of a game, and as a result of that became quite violent.
In a statement obtained by Southern Cross News, the Port Lincoln Primary School principal says the school is taking disciplinary action in relation to a student who obtained and held a knife in a threatening manner and damaged property on a school camp. It's understood the student allegedly threatened he was going to kill his teachers and fellow classmates.
It appeared to sort of escalate into a situation where the rest of the students and teachers decided to lock themselves into the building.
In response to the incident, the Port Lincoln Primary School is offering counselling support to both staff and students. It says the parents of those involved have been notified and are in the process of notifying the school community. Police say the young boy's situation will be evaluated by a juvenile justice coordinator to determine if legal proceedings will commence.
The child was actually arrested in relation to that and was charged with some offences. And basically he'll go through the juvenile justice system.
There are reports the student was suspended for behavioural issues prior to the camp, but was granted permission to attend anyway. Police are now working with the school and other support services in relation to the matter.
Casey Trelaw reporting there. The owner of the Wireless Steelworks is looking to bring the Grand Prix back to Adelaide, but with a modern twist. News Corp reports Sanjeev Gupta has begun discussions with the Adelaide City Council about securing a Formula E race. The motorsport was founded in 2014 and is the first racing championship using electric-powered cars. Races currently take place in a number of cities across the world, including on the famous Monaco racetrack. Adelaide's would be run on the historically popular street circuit in the east end of the CBD. Adelaide has a significant history with car racing, hosting 11 Australian Formula One Grand Prix between 1985 and 1995 and the Adelaide 500 since 1999. The Mid-North region is set to see a massive jobs boost thanks to the National Disability Insurance Scheme. Hundreds of full-time positions will be on offer and over $80 million in funding by the federal government has been announced for the 11 council areas.
As the NDIS continues to roll out across the region, thousands more are still expected to sign up. The Port Pirie area is said to have the biggest increase, with around 450 people set to receive the benefits.
In the York and Mid-North area, which covers 11 council areas, potentially 1,900 people will be receiving those NDIS plans.
That's almost a 200% increase in people receiving support in the region. And to meet the high demand for services, the local workforce is also expected to grow.
Up to 550 full-time equivalent, which is quite remarkable when we're talking about an expected expenditure of up to $80 million per annum, which is all new business.
It's expected direct care workers will see the biggest job growth.
The allied health professional numbers will actually triple as far as to meet the requirement. And a lot of positions also may be at the entry-level area where there might be drivers or carers, people who are interested in providing care for people with a disability.
While other admin and transport support roles will also be on offer.
Home modifications, car modifications, anything that can basically assist that person that has a disability.
It's about tapping into people who need services remotely and making sure that they can access those as well.
Rachel Nell, Southern Cross News.
South Australian mining company Havilah Resources has signed an agreement with Cymec Mining to explore iron ore deposits in the state's northeast. Havilah's CEO says the partnership could develop further down the track if the ore has market value.
They're two mining companies with different histories. Havilya is a small operator, focusing on copper, gold and cobalt, while Simic has 100 years of experience mining iron ore near Whyalla. Together, the two have signed an agreement to explore a deposit of iron ore near the SA New South Wales border.
There's significant opportunity for grants to be drilled out. I think we only drilled into the tip of the iceberg here.
Grant and Maldorki are just off the Barrier Highway. It's estimated the two have an ore body of 450 million tonnes that once processed could be 65% iron. However, iron is a non-core asset of the company, and it's turned to Simic for its expertise.
For themselves, verify that what we see as being the opportunity for the iron ore is what they see as well.
Havilya has provided Simic with several tons of product for testing and due diligence. While it's early stages, Mr. Richards says they may discuss further commercial opportunities.
Simic is definitely someone that we wouldn't mind having a partnership with, and we're going to keep an open mind as to what this could develop into.
Mr. Richards says as well as experience, Simic has access to infrastructure, which could make the product valuable to both parties.
Steel mill in Whyalla, you've got rail and port access, then those deposits might mean a lot for someone else.
John Hunt, Southern Cross News.
Whyalla Council will investigate how it can get more value out of the NRM levy. Council voted this week to prepare a report detailing the state government's views on the NRM and how the community can have a better say. The levy is used within its region to fund projects that encourage residents to be responsible in their interaction with natural habitats. In recent years, NRM has undertaken projects in Whyalla regarding weed removal and improving facilities at cuttlefish diving spots. Whyalla has collected $8 million via the levy since 2004. Still to come tonight, the push for Broken Hill businesses to offer more apprenticeships. Details next. More than 100 trucks have been defected in a major heavy vehicle operation by police in the mid-north. Over the weekend, nearly 250 vehicles were stopped with 110 issued defect notices. 76 of them were also fined. 3 drivers will face court, while 3 others tested positive to driving with methamphetamine in their system. Police say they'll continue to ensure heavy vehicles are compliant with the road rules to make sure our highways are safer for all drivers. The southern rock lobster season officially ended last month. However, a few pots are still being discovered in waters off the Eyre Peninsula. Fisheries have conducted a range of patrols and, despite finding some rogue pots, are impressed that so few were discovered.
Lobster Pots no more. Fishing of the seafood delicacy closed at the end of last month, closing the book on the recreational rock lobster season for 2018.
It's normal for us to conduct patrols to make sure that there's no rock lobster pots remaining in the water. So we've been patrolling local areas to ensure there aren't pots left in the water.
But it appears not everyone got the message.
We found 3 pots in the water at Point Drummond, which represents a pretty good rate of compliance overall.
There was some mystery about where these pots came from.
It's normal for us when we find pots in the water to attempt to contact the owners, and one of the things that we'll do is we'll try to understand why they're still in the water. It appears that at least 2 of these pots have been lost. The 3rd we're still following up.
Point Drummond is a popular spot for fishers, but patrols have been observing other locations along the coast.
We patrolled other areas, which were the passage around Thistle and Williams Island, Fishery Bay, Avoid Bay, Coffin Bay, through to Point Drummond, Elliston and Sheringa.
The season closure is vital to the protection of the marine life and is in place to protect spawning females. And while the fishery won't open again until November, authorities are asking anyone to come forward if they notice suspicious activity.
We encourage people that are on the water, that are out there every day, if they do hear or see of anything suspicious or illegal, to contact us. There's a 24-hour fish watch service. It's 1800 065 522.
Casey Trelaw, Southern Cross News.
Broken Hill businesses are being encouraged to hire as many local apprentices as they can. It comes after the New South Wales government announced it'd offer free apprenticeships across the state.
It's an opportunity some are saying is too good to miss.
We think it's a fabulous opportunity, particularly for our city and our community.
The state government announced this week it would offer 100,000 free apprenticeships across New South Wales.
It's the lowest unemployment rate we've ever had in Western New South Wales. But we do have a people shortage, and we do need people to potentially look at retraining.
The Barrier Industrial Council has now put a challenge to local businesses to host apprenticeships in a bid to boost the workforce.
I think this is a fantastic catalyst to start that process, increasing employment, getting people out and motivated and taking on new skills and seeing what we can do for our community.
Miss Ferry says the facilities at the Broken Hill TAFE Annex are underutilised, but that could change if more apprentices are taken on board. She also says TAFE is very committed to helping locals at the moment with the take-up of statements of attainment.
If they get around 15 people that are interested in a particular trade, for example carpentry, plumbing, electrical work, I'm hoping bricklaying, painting, then they should be able to run a course in Broken Hill.
An open day will be held at the TAFE early next month. The free apprenticeships will be on offer over the next 4 years and include all 121 courses currently funded under the state's Smart and Skilled program. Patrick Reinke, Southern Cross News.
Hundreds of dollars was raised today at the region's annual Give Me 5 for Kids barbecue fundraiser in Port Pirie. Relying on the generosity of the wider community, the charity aims to raise money for the Women's and Children's Hospital in Adelaide. Donations can also be made online at giveme5forkids.com.au. Be sure to select Spencer Gulf as your region, or you can contact your local Southern Cross Austereo office. After the break, a group of powerlifters stacking on the weight to raise money for charity. That's next. Welcome back, this is Southern Cross News. People frustrated by an unreliable phone signals are being encouraged to raise their issues at a number of public consultation sessions across regional South Australia next week. They'll be held at Whyalla and Port Augusta as part of the federal government's review into regional telecommunication services.
If anyone is in striking range and got a view, think they've got, the magic black spot and the one that needs the most attention will get there.
The data collected from the sessions will help target the next round of funding for the government's Mobile Black Spots program. Runners in the Upper Spencer Gulf are strapping on their shoes for two big events in the region this weekend. The Port Augusta Park Run and Pitchy Ritchie Marathon are set to host eager runners from far and wide, with numbers expected to climb into the hundreds for both events.
It's been labelled a raging success across the world, and now the all-inclusive park run has a new home on the shores of Port Augusta.
So it's a social outing, but it also encourages people to have an opportunity to be physical.
Port Augusta adds to the growing list of towns hosting the 5 kilometre time trial, with similar events already up and running in Port Lincoln and Port Broughton.
There's been people that are from Port Augusta who have attended Park Run in different states and in South Australia who saw the benefit of a group of people meeting together.
More than 150 people of all ages are expected to join the run, which will start under the Joyke-Baluke Bridge and take in some of the beautiful landscapes the town has to offer.
I think the fur babies need to be involved as well, so dogs on a short leash are welcome.
The park run kicks off a huge weekend of running events, with the more intense Pitchy Ritchie Marathon also due for its 39th year this Sunday. This will cause disruptions on the road, and organisers are advising motorists travelling to and from Corn to plan ahead.
8:30 the road will shut from Corn, so if you need to drop off people at the half marathon or you want to go down to the races, just leave before 8:30, otherwise go through Wilmington.
Garth Burley, Southern Cross News.
A group of Broken Hill powerlifters has organised a fundraiser to help fight depression. In just 1 week, the team's already raised $2,000, with all proceeds going towards Beyond Blue.
They're cutting weight for a competition, but also for an important cause.
Anxiety and depression are big problems, and a lot of people start coming into the gym to overcome their anxiety, their depression and their mental health. So we thought it was a really great cause to go and contribute to.
Ben Hustle and the powerlifting team from the ESTR gym are training for a competition in October. As part of their preparation, they're dropping weight and raising money at the same time.
So I'm really excited that we've got a national initiative happening that's based in Broken Hill. I think it's really great for the community, it's great exposure, and I'm really excited for the sport.
The money raised from the Weight Loss Challenge will go to Beyond Blue and the work it does to support people with mental health issues.
So basically you can follow their journey as they start to lose some weight toward that time. And what we're aiming for is people can either donate directly or they can, at the end of the time period, donate, say, $1 a kilo to the person of their choice.
Ben says powerlifting is for all ages and body shapes, and the team is always welcoming new members.
It's a great environment because everyone is there to support each other. Because at the end of the day, you might put out a 5 kilo PB, but if someone's lifting 20 kilos heavier, doesn't matter. It's all about how much you can lift and beating what you've done in the past.
You can follow the team on their fundraising journey and donate online. Patrick Reinke, Southern Cross News.
A great initiative for a great cause. Time now for fishing tips.
Welcome another week around the Gulf Fishing Tips. There's not one fisherman out there that will complain about the cold because there's always a benefit with the cold. Our King George whiting come out in abundance. So the bloodworm's just about due if it's not already been. You would need to sort of snag up for some of those big snappers. So drop some of your burley on some of your regular drops, and then perhaps on the new tide in the early of next week, go out and have a crack at it. Don't forget while you're out there, there's salmon, trout around the place and the odd snook floating through. Squid are still around.
G'day and welcome to this week's fishing tips from Port Augusta, Jewel North. Well, really nice weather, but bitterly cold in the mornings there, so try and avoid that little part. Lots and lots of squid, even a lot off the jetties there at night, out along the shacks. A lot of little rat kingfish around, up around the train bridge, but also up around the creeks in Port Patterson, and you assume Chinaman's Creek in that area too. King George whiting can be caught, but the slime is really starting to take effect now, and there's lots of salmon around as well. That's all we have from the Jewel North.
Good sized King George whiting coming from the further south grounds of Whyalla down towards Cowlard's Landing and Menini. The fish down there have been great size and in good numbers. However, with the tides a little slow this weekend, hot tip is to fish the deeper water. There's been some good sized snapper coming down from the southern grounds of Whyalla, again out front of Menini, and a little bit further east across on the Yarraville Shoal. There's been some good fish holding up there, so get amongst those guys. Down along the One Steel Walls, there's been some nice sized garfish. Land-based around Whyalla, out the Point Lowly Rip, there's been some really good sized salmon, a lot in the 1 to 3 kilogram size, so definitely work the rocky shoreline there, flicking the lures, and if you work those bays, guys, there's been some good sized silver whiting.
G'day and welcome to Fishing Tips in Port Lincoln. Well, the squid have been going really well over the past week. Even with these strong westerly winds, there's still plenty of places to tuck in out of the weather and get some squid. Best reports of whiting over the past week have been down the passage, down around Taylor's Landing, and also down around Thistle Island. There's also been some reports of some snapper down the passage as well, up to around about 70 centimetres. There have been some flathead and also a few salmon within the national park, even along those sheltered beaches. Over at Coffin Bay, the whiting have been going very well out at Farm Beach. Back within the bays, there have been some salmon trout and a few small flathead. Up the salmon fishing coast, Talia has been a little bit slow for the salmon, but there have been a couple of nice gummies caught there recently. Well, that's all for the fishing tips this week. We'll see you again with more tips next week.
Do stay with us after the break. Amy's along with all the weather, and it warmed up slightly around the Gulf today, Amy.
It sure did, Fraser, with the sun making an appearance once more this week. I'll have all the details next. Welcome back. A mostly sunny day around the region with temperatures pushing into the high teens. 17 in Port Augusta and Port Lincoln. Maximums in Whyalla and Port Perry sat a degree or so cooler. Taking a look at the satellite now, and patchy cloud across the south is causing the odd light shower. High jet stream cloud in the far east isn't causing any rain. However, it is reducing the risk of overnight frost. If you're heading out on the waters tomorrow, northeasterly winds will shift northwesterly up to 15 knots with seas reaching 1 metre. Sunrise is at 24 past 7 while it will set at 5:18. The sunshine will hang around as we start our weekend with maximums reaching 18 in Port Augusta, 17 in Whyalla, Woodner and Port Lincoln, but you will need to rug up in Clare with a top of only 14. A fine start to next week in Port Augusta, reaching a high of 16 on Monday. Cleve also fining up after possible Sunday showers, as will Woodner, with highs in the mid-teens over the coming days. Mostly sunny in Whyalla with maximum sitting at 16 degrees on Sunday and Monday. Port Augusta will also experience a run of pleasant days, while it's looking like light showers in Kadina will clear by next week. Maximums in Port Perry will sit between 16 and 17 degrees over the next few days, with fine conditions expected. Chilly days ahead in Clare with tops of only 13, while it will cool down slightly in Broken Hill. A fine 14 is predicted for Monday. So Fraser, it's looking like the region will experience a fine but wintry start to next week.
Thanks, Amy, and that's all the news to now. Thanks for your company. Enjoy the rest of your evening. Good night.